watching this, the reason why you got so much heat is not because of your opinion that our religion has crazy beliefs in it, but because you clearly based that opinion on false information. You claimed that Joseph Smith was pro-slavery. He wasn't. Go back and look at the history. Look at the history. Joseph Smith advocated the U.S. government paying for the liberation of all slaves. That was in his platform, in his statement on government. In fact, a big part of the reason that we were, as saints, were persecuted and kicked out of Missouri was because they were afraid that all of these people with abolitionist tendencies were going to come and take away slavery from them. So you just don't know your facts. That's why you're taking the heat, because you demonstrate that it's not the facts that matter to you. You have an agenda and you're trying to throw facts together to back it up. So, on McLaughlin, I was asked to review a political speech. My approach to reviewing political speeches is to examine what deceptions are employed. Romney's speech, like every speech by every candidate for president, had its deceptions. You have a wonderful view of the world, Mr. O'Donnell. You can say all you want, we have, view of the world in rose-colored glasses, but let's, if everybody's lying, why should we believe you're telling the truth? I mean, if every politician is always lying in their statements, and you just have to hunt out those lies, where are the lies in your words? No one else was willing to talk about those deceptions because that would involve talking about a candidate's religion, which we must never do, even if the candidate has just done it. This week I went on Hugh Hewitt's radio show so Hugh could attack me for attacking his favorite candidate. It was a good conversation. Hugh began by asking if I am Catholic. I gave what sounded like a very Clintonian answer that depends on what you mean by the word Catholic. I explained that there are Catholics, very few, who, Romney style, adhere to everything the Church says. Then there are American Catholics, most of whom believe the Church is wrong about abortion and wrong about the death penalty, and used to think the Pope was wrong about the war in Iraq being a mistake, but now have switched back to the Pope's side on that one. I don't feel empowered to say Catholics like that are not Catholics. Once we got past that, Hugh asked if the Catholic Church is wrong to not allow women priests. I said, yes, the faith of my fathers is wrong about that. I then happily admitted to many failings and evils of the Catholic Church and didn't pass popes. This frustrated Hugh's strategy to hang all the problems of Catholicism on me, the way I seem to be hanging all of Mormon's problems on me. But I've never given a speech defending Catholicism and saying I believe every bit of it. No Catholic politician has ever given that speech. All of the Catholics running for president now, Democrat or Republican, and Republican as usual, are very open about disagreeing with the Church on abortion and other things. The more you know about Romney's religion, the more you want to ask him questions about it. Your religion was founded by, this is where it gets really good, an alcoholic criminal named Joseph Smith. Now, I've seen people cite a single conviction on Joseph Smith in relation to treasure hunting. And the whole alcoholic claim, I'm not aware of any instance where he's been sauced or drunk. I know he had some wine while he was in Carthage, and I don't see anything wrong with that. People will say, oh, but what about the word of wisdom and the inhibitions that they don't understand that at the time given? The word of wisdom was not given as a commandment to the Church as a whole. It was kind of a preparatory and easing into a commandment. So Joseph Smith was not committing a violation against the law or against the command of God. And then I like this, who committed bank fraud. Now, he's really just brushing over these really in-depth issues. He's talking about the anti-bank in Kirtland that was set up, and the funny thing is those that accused Joseph Smith of bank fraud then, from which he's taking his information, were the very people that were running the books behind Joseph Smith's backs and were themselves actually the ones perpetrating the bank fraud without Joseph Smith's knowledge. So anyway, moving on. And claimed God told him polygamy was cool after his first wife caught him having an affair with a maid, and who then went on to have 33 wives. That's not the way it went either, but whatever. I mean, clearly he's ready to, do a line item veto on the whole Bible. I'm curious as to why he walks the fence, if he hasn't read that part in the Bible about lukewarm and being spewed out of the mouth. Maybe he line item vetoed that from the Bible too. And you really believe every word that he said and wrote? Do you really believe that the American Indian is genetically descended from Israelites? Would it shake your belief if DNA testing showed no such relationship between Indian tribes and Jews? Again, if you look at any of my videos, you can see that he just really has a childlike view of this. I mean, he's no nuance, no understanding of the ultimate subject, of the intricacies of the DNA problem. He hasn't looked at any of this stuff. He had a determination, and he's finding what he thinks is evidence to back it. And he continues on, Mr. O'Donnell. These are questions again he would ask, or say that people would ask about religion, or ask Romney, what have you. He says, do you really believe that Jesus Christ came to America? Well, I would ask him if he really believes Jesus Christ resurrected. I mean, he's a Catholic, kind of the foundational doctrine of your faith, you would think you'd believe. But maybe he's line item vetoed that from his beliefs too. Who knows? I mean, your belief is just some label. That's all it is. I mean, you might as well just walk around seasoned American, but I don't agree with this part of the Constitution. I don't agree with this part of the Constitution and this part of the Constitution. Oh, and these Bill of Rights, I don't agree with that Bill of Rights and that Bill of Rights. And I don't believe that this definition of what makes a U.S. citizen, and I don't believe, this branch of government has authority. I mean, cool, you can claim all you want, but this line item vetoing of what is and isn't, that he'll even still claim he's a Catholic is just kind of a demonstration of cowardice, in my opinion. Cowardice, or just lukewarmness, or whatever. And the funny thing is that he doesn't trust anyone. Why doesn't he trust anyone? Could it be because he doesn't trust himself? Do you really believe that your possible general election opponent, Barack Obama, is black because his people turned away from God? This is really, really screwy, because he's going off of something that wasn't taught. It's not part of our doctrine. There's a lot of people that have made assumptions about statements that have been made, so it's assumptions upon assumptions, and it's just the same thing as the common video, the cartoon thing that's going around on YouTube. It's based on assumptions on top of assumptions about extrapolations, and I mean, I've pointed this out, and it really is. It's akin to saying the Catholics are cannibals because of the Eucharist and because they believe they're eating the flesh and blood of Christ. I mean, that's absurd. I mean, anyone who says that, who claims that Catholics are cannibals, it's just stupid. It's the same stupid thing here. It's the same false extrapolations and horrible assumptions. Let's see, are you in favor of big increases in federal funding for Missouri, or turning the site of the Garden of Eden into a national park? Well, first of all, our faith sees the whole efficiency in being separate from the government as being kind of key to our role in the morning, so it's really not the whole thing. And making it a national park, that would be seizing our land. That sounds like something we would want to do, to take the lands out of our hands, but I wouldn't ask Romney any of these questions if he hadn't decided to make a political speech